Today's video is about the 13 places where women like to be touched. We're talking about where and how to touch a woman to excite her. Let's have some real talk. Touch is amazing, isn't it? It's magical. It's beautiful. It's one of the main reasons we want a relationship, right? It helps you connect and makes falling in love and being in love magical and exciting. And since you're a good, decent guy looking for a good, decent girl, it's crucial that you know how and where to touch a woman appropriately, right? The last thing you want is to seem too awkward. But at the same time, if you don't touch her at all, well, then it's really hard for that attraction to grow. So it's something you want to handle with great care. If you're looking for a happy, loving, and lasting relationship with a sweet, kind woman, it's critical that you know how to touch her and where to touch her. Fortunately, you don't have to worry about that. By the end of this video, you'll be a pro at it. You're about to discover the best places to touch women and how to touch them in an exciting way. Alright, let's talk about the 13 places where women want to be touched. I'll divide this into two phases in this video because there really is more than one phase to this. The first phase is when you're not in a relationship with her. The second phase is when you're in a relationship. There's a dramatic difference between how you can and should touch a woman when you're not in a relationship versus when you are in a relationship. So let's start with phase 1. Are you with me? Sounds good? Let's dive in. The first place where a woman wants to be touched is her hands. Now, if you're not in a relationship yet, that doesn't mean holding her hand. That's better left for when you're in a relationship. But you can still touch her hand. Maybe if you're passing something to her, you can let your hands brush against each other. Something like that. You can totally touch her hand and it gives her those butterflies in her stomach and makes her think, yo, he touched me. That's really cool. And then she has to tell all her friends about it and celebrate for a week. It's legit. So if you can let your hands touch, yeah, go for it. The second place where a woman wants to be touched by a man is the upper arm. There are plenty of opportunities where you can just gently touch her upper arm. Maybe if you're being a little understanding or a little playful, something like that. The upper arm is a non-threatening but still totally adorable place you can touch her. It's a great place to start when you're trying to break through that no-touch barrier and get a little closer and make her take notice of you in a romantic way. The next place where a woman wants to be touched is her back. Now, a lot of questions about where should I touch her on the back? If you go too high, it's like the maximum friend zone, and you don't want that. If you go too low, it's awkward and just don't do that. So instead, a good rule of thumb is around her shoulder blade level, a little lower than the shoulder blade. That's pretty good. There's something so protective when a guy just puts his arm or hand on her back. Maybe if you're guiding her or if you're leaning in to talk to her or something like that, wow, that's going to give her butterflies in her stomach. That's going to make her feel like you're protective and it's adorable. This is really one of my favorites, to be perfectly honest. It's incredibly powerful. The next place where a woman wants to be touched, and this is not necessarily a place, more like a tip. And that is simply sitting close to her. Again, if you're not in a relationship, don't put your arm around her. That's better when you're in a relationship. You want to avoid being creepy. But sit next to her. Like, touch when you're sitting next to her. That's something she'll notice even if she doesn't say anything about it. But it's adorable and it's cute and it makes her think, yo, maybe he likes me. He's sitting next to me and it's adorable. So don't be afraid to sit close enough to touch. The next place where a woman wants to be touched by a man, and this is again more of a tip than a specific place. Hopefully this is obvious, but just in case, she wants you to hug her, okay? Even when you're in a relationship, there's something so sweet about a genuine hug. Everyone wants to be hugged and there's a whole science to how it makes you feel good. So just use it, okay? Don't be afraid to hug her. And that's something you can do even when you're not in a relationship that really creates that closeness and shows interest. My next tip on how to touch her and simply excite her is when you offer your arm to her. This is something that few people do these days, but they should because it's adorable. This is especially true if she's wearing high heels or if the terrain is a bit dangerous. Offering your arm to her is adorable. And again, it shows that you're protective. It shows that you're masculine, confident, and strong. And she might, maybe feel your arm a little. Laughs, which would be nice too. But don't think about that, just offer your arm to her and it's adorable. Here's something I want you to remember: being a gentleman is always romantic. It's adorable, especially because not many people do it anymore. And then you're the exception, you stand out when you're a gentleman. In my academy, when I'm guiding you on how to captivate the love of your life, something I make sure to emphasize is that kind men are the most attractive men. That's the kind of man a woman wants to spend her life loving. So the simple act of offering your arm is really cute. Something else I want you to keep in mind as we go through this list of places where a woman wants you to touch her: it's important to know how to touch her and where to touch her. That's huge. That's a big step. However, you also need to know how to get to the point where she wants you to touch her, right? You need to know how to get her attention, how to create that attraction, and how to make her want you to touch her. Otherwise, you'll just seem creepy, and you don't want that. So, how do you get to that point where she wants you to touch her? And how do you do that with the kind of woman you really want? You need to learn how to get her attention, how to talk to her, really ramp up that attraction, and then court her. All of these things are what make her want you to touch her. I know how overwhelming this can seem. There are so many variables and so much room for error. That's especially true if you've failed in the past and felt embarrassed, rejected, and disillusioned. That's why I created my academy for you. Now you have a single place to learn how to find the sweet, kind love of your life, make her fall deeply in love with you, so you can come home to her soft kisses every night. I take all the guesswork out for you, so you don't have to worry about what you should or shouldn't do. Instead, you have a roadmap that leads you to the love success you deserve. Now we've gone through how to touch a woman before you're in a relationship. Let's talk now about how to touch her, where to touch her when you're in a relationship. Now, I don't mean married yet. I mean you're dating. The first place to touch her when you're in a relationship is her hair. It's really cute when a guy plays with her hair, or if you just tuck her hair behind her ear. Those little things make her feel really feminine and beautiful. Like, oh, he likes my hair, and it's really very, very cute. Obviously, don't overdo it. And assess how she reacts. Some women don't like having their hair messed up, especially if they've worked hard to make it look nice for this date with you. So gauge how she reacts to it. But overall, it's a very, very cute way to touch her. The next place where a woman wants you to touch her is her face. Now you can do this, like, when you're kissing you can touch her face. You could just put your hand on her cheek. That's just adorable. Just those little caresses on her face are totally sigh-worthy. They definitely turn her on. The next place where you can touch a woman is her waist. Now, like, if you're just standing side by side, put your hand on her waist. If you're hugging, maybe you can put your arms around her waist. Or maybe when you're kissing, you can put your hands on her waist. It's a very cute thing for her, it makes her feel close to you, and again, it just helps her feel feminine and see you as very masculine. Whenever you make her feel feminine, she'll see you as more masculine. The next thing you can do is put your arm around her. Again, this should be obvious, but just in case, I know I mentioned, when you put your hand on her back, you don't want to go too high. When you're putting your arm around her is the exception. You're not like, hey buddy, old pal. Instead, you're just putting your arm around her. So it's definitely. If it's her shoulders/back when you put your arm around her. That, again, is very protective, kind of feels like a hug, and it's adorable. And I have a quick question before we get to the other places where you can touch a woman. I actually never made a video about this. This is new to me. Are you enjoying it? Would you like more? If yes, comment yes to let me know. I really, really appreciate your feedback. It helps me a lot. It helps me know what to do, and I love hearing from you and knowing that you're enjoying what I'm doing. So if you would like more videos like this, comment yes to let me know. And leave any questions, comments, or ideas for future videos in the comments as well. The next place where a woman wants you to touch her, again, if you're in a relationship. Don't do this if you're not in a relationship. It'll be bad. This place is her knee. Let's say you're sitting side by side and you just put your hand on her knee, like the area of her knee. That's really cute. Like, just reminds her that you're there, and it's adorable. It's kind of crazy how these simple things can sound, but they're really totally adorable. Don't underestimate the power that touch has to really ignite attraction. The next place where a woman wants to be touched is her neck. Now this, you know, you don't want to just grab her neck. That's not cute. That's creepy. But for example, let's say maybe you're brushing her hair aside and you rest your hand on her neck for a moment. Or let's say you're kissing her or something like that. There are really lovely ways for you to touch her neck that, again, just make her feel feminine and attracted to you and amazing. And the next place where you can touch a woman might seem a bit obvious, but hear me out. This is her mouth. Now yes, obviously you can kiss her. And if you're in a relationship, you probably should kiss her. However, it doesn't have to be limited to just kissing her. We've all seen that scene in the movie where, like, she takes a bite of food, a cupcake or something, and she gets a little on her mouth, and he gently wipes or cleans her mouth. It's really cliché at this point, it's in tons of movies, but it's for a reason. It's because it's just kind of a cute thing. It's a cute way to break that touch barrier and just make her feel close to you and more attracted to you. Okay, so we've talked about phase 1 when you're not in a relationship and phase 2 when you're in a relationship. Pay close attention. Anything beyond what I just shared with you should be saved until after marriage. I know that's not popular to say, but it's the truth. So I'm going to say it. Anything beyond what I've shared with you needs to be saved until after marriage. And it's for several reasons. 1. If she's a high-quality woman, if she's an elegant woman, someone with so much love to give who's looking to give that love to a man, she doesn't want to share that with a man she's not married to. Think about it. So if you try some of these things before marrying her, that's a red flag. That makes her say, "Done with this guy. I'm so done." So that helps you ensure that you're attracting the right kinds of women. And it also protects her and makes her feel safe. Always ask yourself, what kind of woman are you trying to attract? An elegant woman or a non-elegant woman? If you want an elegant woman, you have to use the strategies that allow you to attract that kind of woman. And saving things for marriage is the only strategy that helps you attract that loving, kind, tender, and loyal woman. A loyal woman is loyal to her man even before he's her husband. And that means she saves things until marriage. If you're attracting those toxic, fake women, usually that's one of the main reasons. You have to set those physical boundaries from the beginning. And just in case you're wondering, how do I find a good loyal woman? How do I find a woman who's appropriate and loving and kind and stunning? Those are things I teach you here on the channel too. Again, I take the guesswork out for you. So you just have this clear map to the absolute love of your life. To learn more about it, watch my videos today. Thank you so much for watching, my amazing friend.